Well, okay, everyone, we're going to get started. It's a little after 12. Thank you so much for joining me at this workshop. We're going to just give you a broad overview of the home buying process and some steps to get you started, whether you're a first-time home buyer, a many-time home buyer, or a long-time home buyer. Your home purchase is likely to be the biggest financial decision that you'll make in your life. And we believe it's prudent to work with professionals, licensed, experienced agents who can work on your behalf. So we are a group of 10 on the Curtin team based in Roswell, but we sell all of Metro North Atlanta real estate. We have administration people who will take your contract and get you to the closing table. We have 5 agents, and we have an inside sales agent who does only inside sales calls, trying to find just the right home for our clients. Is there anything out there that you would like me to answer? Any specifics on the home buying process? Anyone?
No, not anything specific at this moment.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just go through the presentation, but stop me at any time if there's a question or if there's something that you don't understand or just something that comes to mind. By all means, I want this to be interactive. We'll talk a little bit about fears versus facts when you are buying, the current market, 6 steps to home ownership. We'll talk a little bit about financing and then the next steps to get you on your way. The first, I like to start with fears and facts because a lot of people think they can't afford to buy a home right now. I'm sure you read in the newspaper about how much prices have gone up. And the reality is you really don't know what you can afford until you do the math. So I always suggest working with a lender, doing your budget. And when you put pen to paper and look at the facts and do the math, you'll understand, 1, if you can buy a home, and 2, how much can you afford? So that's the first thing you have to do. The other fear I hear a lot, and I've heard for the last 2 years, is, oh, I'm just going to wait till the market gets better. Prices have gone up. I am just going to wait. And I have probably a dozen clients that I've been working with for the last 18 months who are just, they'll look at a couple of houses and then they'll wait until the market comes back down, and it hasn't come back down. And a lot of people are waiting for a shift and waiting for prices to crash, and we just don't see that happening. And I'll explain some of the reasons why the market has been so strong. Another fear is that you don't have money for a down payment. You don't need to put a lot down. When your parents and grandparents were buying houses, you needed, 30% or more to put down on a home. And it is true that the more you put down, the lower your payments will be, but there are a variety of down payment options that are available. So you don't need a huge down payment these days. And the last fear I hear sometimes is, gosh, I just can't afford my dream home. I want the 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath in Roswell near Canton Street. Well, the reality is most people don't buy their dream home as their very first home. So your first home is called a starter home for a reason. It gets you in the market. It gets you out of an apartment or out of a rental or out of your parents' basement, and it gets you into the home ownership. And then you can wait a few years, potentially sell that, and then move on to another home. So then you find your dream home. A couple of reasons on why buying now is so critical and so advantageous. And first and foremost are really just interest rates. They are historically low. We saw them dip down at 2.7% last summer, and they've gone up to about 3.5% now. But interest rates being historically low, under 5%, it's just cheap money. It's just easy to borrow, and it's inexpensive right now versus renting. The second reason why now is your long-term investment grows. Real estate has consistently over the last 5 or 6 years been considered one of the best investments you can make. So you think stock market, you think Bitcoin, and you think real estate when you talk about investing. So your equity builds up over time, you pay down your debt, and hopefully your value of your home goes up over time. And lastly, pride of ownership. you have your own home. You have a sense of community. You're not in a rental. You have tax benefits, and you are building wealth. In the past, lenders have asked for 20 to 25% down. And when you're looking at your budget, it's just sort of been understood that of all of your debt to equity, you need about 25% for your mortgage. Today, lenders are saying 15%. If you're looking at your budget, principal and interest should be about 15% of your budget. So that makes it a little easier as well. And really, if you are renting now versus owning, it just, in my mind, makes so much more sense to be a homeowner and not a renter. This example gives you a $1,500 a month payment, whether you were renting a townhome or an apartment or a condominium. If you have a $350,000 house, your payments are going to be about $1,500 a month towards your mortgage. And when you're owning, you pay down your principal every month, and you'd be surprised how quickly things escalate and how quickly the years go by, and you're paying down your principal, so you've got more equity in your home versus taking that $1,500 check and just giving it to your landlord. So you're taking it out of your pocket and you're putting it in their pocket, and you really have nothing to show for it. With real estate, you have an appreciating asset that grows over time. In full disclosure and transparency, I always like to talk about why don't buy, why you should not buy. There are a few scenarios where it might make sense to hold off from buying. The first one is if you're changing jobs. If you apply for a loan and you're underwritten and you're approved for that loan and you have not closed on your home yet and you lose your job, you are not going to be able to get that loan. So if your job is insecure or you're thinking of moving with a new company, you're going to want to hold off buying a home. Secondly, financial issues. If you have a low credit score or you just don't have a down payment that's significant, then there's nothing wrong with waiting a bit more, waiting a little longer, waiting for a bit more time to either save more money for the down payment or do some tasks to improve your credit score. It just may be too expensive in the areas that you're looking. So if you have your heart set on a certain area or neighborhood, you don't want to be house poor. You don't want to have all of your money in that mortgage so you can't live your life. And then short-term ownership. If you're not planning on staying at your house for at least 3 years, I say 5 because I'm a little more conservative, then you may not have a chance for that home appreciation to go up or to build up equity. So a minimum of 3 years, you're better off just renting if you're only going to be in an area for a couple of years. So if those don't apply to you, let's move forward and talk about where we are in our current market. Let me make sure no one else is out here too. So our current market has been extremely volatile the last few years, and on the upside, that is. So in Atlanta, the average home increased 20% last year. That's unprecedented. It has not happened in the last 80 years that people have been keeping track of real estate prices. And it doesn't matter if you're Gary Keller and you've been in the business more than 40 years, or you're a new agent and you've been in the business for 4 months. No one has seen a market like this. In Atlanta, the median days on market is 7. So on average, a home it lists and it's only on the market for less than 2 weeks. Currently, there is less than 1 month of supply of listings in the metro Atlanta market for single family homes. And what that means is supply, if every home that's listed sold, it would take less than a month for those to go. A balanced market is about 4 months in Atlanta. That means there's as many sellers as there are buyers. So that would be called a balanced market. So we are clearly still in a seller's market. And the average sale price has gone from $336,000 to $402,000, just to put it in dollars and cents. So it has definitely been unprecedented, as I said. Going forward, for those people that are sitting here waiting for the market to turn around, that's just probably not going to happen. I don't think we're going to grow 20%, but even if we grow 10, that's still a pretty significant increase in value. The realtor.com chief economist recently said thinks we're going to see a turnaround in inventory this year. But even if that goes up, those are levels that are still half of what we saw before 2020 and the pandemic. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. The market is moving quickly. If you see a home that you like, there are probably a dozen other people that like it as well, and you need to move quickly. Part of the reason of the market being as strong as it is in single family new construction. This chart goes back to 1970, and it shows you this is the average each year of new construction homes. So it definitely picked up in the 90s. It peaked early 2000s, but in the last 13 years, we have been well below the new construction homes that have typically been built. So there's a supply problem. Interest rates, this is the big picture I was telling you about on interest rates. So yes, they bottomed out last summer at 2.6, 2.7%. We are at about 3.5% right now, which is right here. But even if you are at 4% or 6%, that's still historically low when you look at where we were in the 80s, even in the 90s. So we are expecting interest rates to tick up higher this year, and that is going to eat into your purchasing power. Another reason not to wait. Supply also has been increased because over the last 8 years, this Gallup poll shows that Americans have said real estate is the best investment that they've had for 8 years in a row. So you're going to compare real estate to the stock market, to gold, to savings accounts. And when you take a look at waiting versus buying sooner rather than later, these examples, let's just take a $500,000 loan, for example. January of 2021, interest rates were around 2.8%. They're now at about 3.5%. And home appreciation has gone up. So that $500,000 home now costs you $560,000. And with the interest rate rise, that $2,000 mortgage a year ago is now $2,400 a month. And if we go up over 4%, then you can see the difference in home value and what your payment's going to be. All of this is to say, now is probably a good time to buy. So we kind of covered the realities of our market. Prices have gone up. It is still a seller's market, but interest rates are low. And in Atlanta in particular, it has been extremely, it's grown a lot because it's just very friendly. It's COVID friendly, it's weather friendly, it's people friendly, business friendly. And so a lot of people have moved into the area. So let's talk about you and owning a home. 6 easy steps to ownership. The first thing I think you should do is hire an agent. That's where we come in at the Curtin team. You need someone on your side. You need someone helping you through each step. Next, you want to make sure that you're pre-approved. Get financing. Then we go find your home. I help you negotiate and make an offer. Once you're under contract with a home, you're going to get inspections. We're going to negotiate repairs. And then we take you to the closing table where you go to an attorney's office and you are a homeowner. When you're hiring your agent, it's important. I think it's one of the fastest growing careers out there now because the market has been so strong. But we encourage you to have seasoned professionals that can educate you about the market, give you an analysis of what is available in your wants and needs, coordinate the work of other professionals. We have lenders that we work with, we have inspectors, we have contractors, we have a plethora in our 20 years of experience of vendors and people that can help you in all aspects of real estate. We negotiate on your behalf and help solve any problems that might arise. So once you do decide to use an agent, I have all of my clients sign a representation agreement, which says, I work for you. I'm your agent, your fiduciary, and you will buy a home with me instead of running around with whoever else you might find in the workplace. I can only work with a handful of clients at a time. And so I'm trying to be very specific with who I work with. So it's just an exclusivity, no different than if you were listing your home with an agent, you're enlisting me to help you buy your home. So when you hire your agent, then you want to get your finances in order. You want to get your pre-approval from a lender. We start looking, we go under contract, you move in, and then this is just a little list of dates that you can take a look at. So step 2 is to secure your financing. You can go online to any number of sites and get pre-qualified. You just put in a few numbers and they'll spit out a pre-qual letter for you. We prefer a pre-approval with a specific lender. It's a formal application that you make. It's a commitment from them saying that they've looked at your situation and they have pulled credit, even if it's a soft pull, and it states how much you can borrow, and it makes you a stronger buyer in this competitive market. So we have a handful of lenders, local lenders that we work with. This is Ben and Candace Thornton at Capital Mortgage Solutions, but we have others you can talk to as well. So ask for referrals from your friends and family, interview them, talk to whomever you'd like, and get that loan application and pre-approval, and that'll give you your first step. So you'll have your budget and you'll know what we can go out and look for. You want to look at your expenses, and you want to make sure that, again, you're not house poor. You're not pouring all of your income into this mortgage payment. So when you're looking at mortgages, there's 3 decisions you have to make. How much money am I going to put down? What interest rate am I getting? And how long is that mortgage going to be? Typically, they are 30 years. You can pay them off sooner, but that's going to give you your lowest interest rate. The more money you put down, at least 20%, gives you your best interest rate on a 30-year mortgage. But those are all things you can discuss with your lender, just so that you're educated and understand what's in a mortgage payment. It's PITI. The principal pays down the equity of your home. The interest is paying the lender for the loan that they're taking out for you. Taxes pay your state and local entities. And then insurance pays to protect your home. So you always will need insurance on a mortgage. And then you might also add in a home owners association, an HOA fee to your budget. Lots of neighborhoods have HOA fees. And so you're going to want to add that in to your budget. Your down payment is really based on your pre-approval amount. It can be as little as 3%. If you go up to 20%, then you're going to avoid a private mortgage insurance fee. And they can come from a lot of different places. You might have a side job. You may have already gotten the money saved. You may have in-laws or family members that could gift you the down payment. So there's lots of different ways. It doesn't have to be your money. It could come from somewhere else. And then once you have that pre-approval, I can't stress this enough, no big purchases. When you're pre-approved today, you can't go out next week and buy a new car. Don't add credit cards, don't change jobs, just protect that down payment that you have. Anytime you make changes to your finances, so what happens is your lender pulls your credit now and gives you your budget. Once you get ready to close a month or so from now, that lender, that underwriter is going to go back and check everything and make sure you still have the same job, make sure you still have the same debt to income ratio. And if that's off, then they won't underwrite your loan. So maintain your pre-approval, no big purchases till after closing. It's super exciting when you're getting ready to close and you want to go buy new furniture or change jobs even. No, we can't do that. Step 3 is the fun part. Any questions so far? Does anyone have anything that they, any questions, comments right now? Okay, go ahead.
So question, what if you get a job in the same field, making the same amount, making more money?
Making more money is fine. It should just, there shouldn't be a gap in income.
Okay.
And so I would, one, talk to the lender if you're thinking of moving jobs. If you've already worked for several years in your current job, that's fine as well. But you need to let your lender know ahead of time if that's something that's a possibility, and they'll be able to guide you better. A lot of people, as long as you've had several years of experience, then you can get a letter from your new job, saying, here's the income, here's what you're doing. So that's how it's handled sometimes, but I would definitely talk to the lender if that is something that is imminent, and get their best advice on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And typically it's people say, oh, I got a new job and now I want to buy a house, but I only have 3 months of income from that past job. So they're really looking at your history. And as long as they know you have something solid in the future, that should be fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you for a good question. So next we're going to find your home, and that's the fun part. That's what everyone looks forward to. We're going to spend some time, if you're working with me, talking about your wants and needs. I'm going to educate you on the market, the specific areas that you're looking in, and we'll refine your search. I'll get you on a multiple listing service portal where you can look around at everything, but then you'll get an email update whenever there are new homes coming to market that fit your needs. I'm sure you've all been looking at houses, whether online or in person. Open houses are coming back after COVID. So they are seeing a lot of open houses, but typically how things are working now is most things are listing mid to the end of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Offers are coming in over the weekend. And if it's priced right and in good condition, the house will be under contract on Sunday or Monday. So I find a lot of my clients, I'm in a frenzy showing them houses towards the end of the week, and then I slow up a little bit at the beginning of the week. And another thing, if you're working with our team, we have a handful of showing agents. So I can't be in the same place, I can't be in 3 places at once if it is very busy. So we have showing agents on our team that can go out and look at the homes with you. They report back to me. I can still go out and see it at my leisure if it's something you want me to see as well, before we make offers. But that's the advantage of working with a team. You have a group of people on your side. When we do go out and look for homes, I know you're looking for the pretty shiny things. You're looking for the layout, just the space work, features and amenities, maybe of the neighborhood. But what I look for is I'm always looking up to see if there's any water damage in the ceiling. Has the roof been leaking? I'm looking at resale value. I'm looking at how old is the roof? How old is the HVAC? Does it look like there are structural concerns? So I kind of look for those money suck items while you're looking at the things, the physical things, if they work for you, for example. So that's just kind of another reason to use an agent. And then I've had a lot of clients look at townhomes and condos instead of single family homes. It's really up to you. The pros of a condominium or a townhome is it is a lower cost per square foot. You don't have to do any maintenance or yard work. Often there are great amenities, and you have a community. So you've got neighbors around you. The downside is it is shared ownership. You probably have neighbors on at least one wall that you share. There are homeowner fees that are much higher than single family homes, and there are rules. So there is an HOA around pets and vehicles and noise and that type of thing. So it might work for you. It just depends on your situation. And then there's always new construction. That's an option as well. You have brand spanking new home when you walk in. You have warranties on all of your systems and your appliances. You get to pick your lot. You get to lock in your price. And I have good deals on here because 2 years ago, we were able to get all sorts of things from the design center. Now, new construction is just as competitive as a single family home purchase that's an existing resale. The builders are not giving anything except maybe if you work with their lender, you might get a few $1,000s in closing costs paid. Unfortunately, there are bidding wars for lots. Builders are releasing new lots, like 2 or 3 a month instead of 20 for the year. So it's become very competitive as well. The downside of new construction is that it's typically in further lying out areas. A lot of times the amenities aren't completed yet. You definitely do not have a firm closing date. With all of the COVID-related shipping problems, and we were just talking about this earlier, Chantal, with labor shortages and things like that, there's no guarantee that your home that's supposed to be done in April will even be finished. There's also supply problems of getting doors and cabinets. So if you're flexible, then it might not be a con, but it's definitely something to be aware of. So once we found the perfect home, hi, laugh, there's no perfect home. That's another myth. And the reality is there are no perfect homes. It's got to be perfect for your top choices. What are the top needs that you have? And that's what you need to look at. But once we found that home, we make an offer. We use standard Georgia real estate forms. I write that offer for you. You sign it. We send it over and we negotiate. We are making an offer. It does need to reflect the true value of the home. We have not been in a situation in more than 2 years where we can go in and undercut by 10%, whatever the list price is. The reality is the last few offers I've written have been 105% over list price, and they still did not win. So homes are selling over list price these days. But there are also terms that you can negotiate. The terms in the contract might be, how much earnest money do you put down for your deposit? If you have a higher deposit on the earnest money, that might look good to a seller. When are we going to close on the home? I always reach out to the listing agent and find out, gosh, does the seller need to move quickly or do they need more time? Is there anything we can do to make it an attractive offer as far as our closing date? And then there are contingencies that allow you to get out of the contract. That's typically due diligence. Once you go under contract, then you have a period where you can get an inspection on that home. A lot of homes now are selling as is and people aren't worried about it, but I still always will fight for a due diligence period for you. And that allows you to back out of the contract if there is a problem or an issue. Inspections and repairs. Once you get your inspection done, and that is an out-of-pocket expense for you, then we take a look at the big picture and what needs to be repaired versus what are you okay with. We really don't worry about the small stuff on the inspection. We're not going to ask for cosmetic changes. Sometimes I'll put a stipulation in the contract that unless a repair is over $2,000, we're not going to ask. We're going to buy it as is unless there's a major problem with structure, with foundation, or health and safety. The due diligence period that allows you to terminate the contract and still get your earnest money returned, it used to be 7 to 14 days. Now I am 3 to 4 days. We can get an inspector in the next day typically. They get you the report that day, and then you have a chance to think about it and we make a request. But those days are definitely been shrinking. And like I said, we don't sweat the small stuff on an inspection. It's the big stuff that counts. A crumbling foundation, stair step cracks inside the home could mean that there's a structural issue. Water stains could mean mold, or there's a leak that hasn't been corrected. Plumbing or electrical problems, or mold or termite. Those are really the big things that you need to be concerned about. So let's say we've gone under contract. We have done our inspection. We have agreed on repairs or not, and now we are ready to close and be a homeowner. The last few steps, once you get through all of that, then Leah in our office is doing all the admin behind the scenes. She's often taking care of problems that I don't even know exist, that she's handled. There are over 300 steps from the very first offer that we make. to the closing table, there's about 300 steps and processes that go on that you aren't even aware of. So once you have gone under contract and you've sorted everything out and you're just waiting to close, that's great. That's exciting, but you have to keep yourself mortgage worthy. Like I said before, you don't go buy a new car, new furniture, change jobs, and you keep your deposit safe as well. You also need to budget for your closing costs. It's about 2 to 3% of your loan amount. There are going to be lender fees, there are going to be attorney fees, there's going to be an appraisal probably. So you need to budget for that. Your earnest money is typically 2% of purchase price right now. You can go 1%, but I like to go 2%. That earnest money is up to deposit on the home, and then it's credited back to you. So you pay it when you go under contract, and then that's credited back to you at closing. Like I said, your inspections are out of pocket. You may want a survey. A lot of people are opting against those these days, but it does cost a few $100s for a survey. There may be HOA initiation fees. You are going to have to do 1 year of homeowners insurance. And you probably want a little budget for any improvements or repairs or painting or things that you might want to do after the sale to make it your special home. And then right before closing, we'll do a final walkthrough of the home. So we want to make sure that what you're buying is what you saw 30 days ago. So we'll do it either the day before close or the morning of. We'll do a final walkthrough to make sure everything looks good. And then we go to the attorney's office and close. You bring your, usually wire your funds, and you give them evidence of insurance. You bring your driver's license and you walk away with your new home. Lastly, I always like to mention a couple of things. Once you do have your home, definitely maintain everything. Routine maintenance will keep your systems, running longer. Any signs of leak or water damage or a drip or wear, if you fix those small problems along the way, it can save you a lot in the long haul. And then keep a receipt of all of your repairs, any updates, any new fixtures or lighting or anything that you did. Keep a file of all of those, because when you go to sell that home, if you have a concise file of everything that's been done, one, it shows the new buyers that you have pride in ownership and you've taken care of the place. And two, it gives you an idea of, the cost for those improvements over time. So let's get started. I'd love to work with you. I'd be happy to speak to each of you individually. And you know that the team is here for you to educate you, to steer you to homes that fit your criteria, to negotiate on your behalf as your fiduciary, and to solve any problems as smoothly as we can. Are there any questions, anything that I didn't cover that you might have? Comments? Here is my number on the screen. It's 330-819-9444, or my email down here, mnawn@curtinteam.com. Christy Smith is our director of sales. She's on here as well, but we would love to help you. We would love to be in your corner and would love to help you be a homeowner. So I'll be reaching out to everyone since there aren't any questions. I'll be reaching out to everyone individually, and I look forward to working with you on your time frame. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
You too, Melinda. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Chantal.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Julia.